Right. Welcome, everybody, to the next session in the Interviews with Trader series. The idea of this is to introduce you to some people exactly like yourself who are working through their trading journey and kindly offered to share their challenges, successes, experiences with everybody so you can benefit from that potentially. And I'm absolutely delighted today to welcome John. Hi, John, are you there? Are you all receiving good?
I'm here, yep.
Many thanks for agreeing to do this. It's a real pleasure and a privilege to have you along today. And I know you've got some great things to share. So what we're going to do, John, is we're just going to kick off by asking you a few questions about yourself. Just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and where your trading journey started, perhaps.
Okie dokie. So, as you'll have mostly clocked from my accent already, I'm not originally from these parts. Born and raised in the northwest of England. I worked around there for about 25 years before moving over here, mainly in hospitality, but I did manage to escape that line eventually and gain some experience in other fields of work, including a stint as a roaster. When I moved over here in 2007, within 6 months, fortunately got a coffee roasting position, and I was with that company until the end of last year when I took redundancy.
And how did trading kick off for you?
I always had a passing interest in the economy, finance, the markets, etc. And there was a TV show that I recall back in the UK, and they gave teams money to invest in the stock market. It's a long time ago, but I recall that the winners made some amazing returns over just a few weeks. And I thought, okay. But it was just an interest. I didn't have the education or the finances to take it further at that time. But I guess that flame was always flickering away in the background. And then fast forward, came to realise how much easier it had become between the advancements in internet connection regards. But they're really on it as far as it's either a setup or it's not. You know, it meets all the required levels, and if it doesn't, then it's no trade.
Almost a tick list to say this is the right time to take action, which essentially is how every good system should look. In terms of what you're trading right now, you're obviously trading some index stuff with magnetic. Are you trading other vehicles still as well?
I'm still looking at the Forex and trying to transfer over the skills that I've learned from magnetic into that field. Not directly transferable, just because of the way that the Forex markets move compared to indices. But with your help as well, I'm getting there. Sort of a slow burn, but it's happening.
So when we talked before the interview, you sort of mentioned some differences between your results that you're getting with magnetic and your own lead trading, I guess, for want of a better term. Can you give us some details about that, please?
Sure, yeah. Mark and Cameron are great role models in that they're clearly very disciplined and quite conservative. I suspect it's a big part of what explains their success. As I say, if something doesn't match what they want in the setup, then they just say, no, that's no trade. It hasn't hit this level, it's not the right price action, whatever it is, they're quite happy to walk away. And that also carries through into the training. So between the two, it really does reinforce that aspect of having the discipline. And yeah, we know if you try and bend the rules, then you usually get a smack. You learn the hard way, but sometimes it takes a while to learn, doesn't it? So yeah, definitely the main thing is how definite they are in this is how it works. And if it doesn't work like this, then forget it.
It sounds as though your results are improving with your non-magnetic trading, but how do they compare at the moment if you were to put them side by side? Would there be a difference?
Oh, yes. Yeah, without a doubt. I think part of it is that the magnetic setups are quite often time restricted.
Right.
So, you know, that first half hour of London Euro Open, and of course with the expiry, the dividend trade, etc., they're relatively specific, whereas of course Forex is a little more free flow. So yeah, I think that's probably the larger challenge for me is trying to get my head around utilising their learnings, the best time frame to trade the Forex on.
Sure, that makes absolute sense. I think market timing is pretty important. Certainly one thing that the guys push across not just indices, but across all vehicles as well. So I think that's a fair point. Can you give us an indication about what sort of returns you've had of late? What are you hitting at the moment in your index trading?
In the index, since I started Blueprint, I'm up 15%. I joined it in January, but I didn't actually start trading properly with it until mid-February. So
yes, 15% in 4 months. So what's that? Annualize that's about 45%, I guess.
I'm happy, and I will say as an add-on that by no means have I taken full advantage. I've been, again, not in a position to take some trades. Some of their trades have set up way too late for me. I could certainly have been in a better situation, but like I say, can't complain at that rate of return.
Absolutely. Been a very tricky market over those 4 months as well. It's not been the easiest market to trade. So that all bodes well for the future. And one of the things that really impressed me when I was chatting to you before was the fact that you see this importance of measurement in your trading. You seem to measure quite a lot in terms of performance. Can you give us a little more detail about that?
Yeah, so I know that Magnetic have this set up with Go Markets where you can get your results sent through. But I started my own spreadsheet and just found that I probably got more from completing that myself. So I'm recording the basics of entry, stop, result, return, etc. But then I'm also putting the notes alongside that as to what the setup was, why did we enter, if we exited early, why, if we'd let it run, what would have happened, etc.
That's very powerful.
Enlightening that to be able to look back and look at a result and go, oh yeah, that would have been a stop. So we saw that price wasn't doing what we wanted it to do, so we jumped early. Or to be able to have that log, I find is really beneficial.
That's superb. I mean, so what you're saying is you've got the macro picture with what your results are doing overall, your key metrics, your sort of win-loss ratios, your average win, average loss, all that sort of stuff. And then you've taken to the next level, almost from a journaling point of view. So you've got that understanding of why those big numbers are created. That's fantastic. Really impressive, John. And that will serve you very well going forward, I have no doubt.
Thank you.
So one of the things I asked you to do was come up with game-changing tips to other traders. What would they be? And you came up with 3, which I'll just put on the screen now. So just talk us through those, John. Obviously, the first one is go slow to go quick. What do you mean by that?
I think probably most of us that get into this line have likely shelled out a decent amount of dollars to get the education and to start making that money back. And that, I think, creates the desire to get that return as soon as possible so that you're into profit as soon as possible. And that's just, as I found out the very hard way, the worst thing you can do. I appreciate it's human nature, but it really does cause problems. And if you can step back and really go slowly, I think it pays dividends in the long run.
I would agree completely. I think I've seen this time and time again with that desire to start making money yesterday, when what you're actually doing is you're putting things in place to trade for a lifetime. So to rush it rarely produces the results that you actually want and get you into that place where you're confident about going forward. And certainly the measuring you're doing and the other things you've got in place now are perfect to take you to that place. What about get your headspace right, which was your number 2?
Again, we get into it to make money, but this is just so unlike a normal job. I don't know of any other occupations that reward you for turning up, watching the screen and doing nothing. Yet the reality of disciplined trading, where if your setup doesn't occur, you walk away from the session having done nothing, I think that can be quite challenging to wrap your head around. It requires not just a different skill set, but a different mentality and psychology. And if you don't have that in place early, then you'll just be challenged.
For sure. And of course, you took the massive leap of changing, as you said before, treating your trading as a hobby to one of trading as a business. And that commitment is really, I would suggest, the first step in getting your headspace right. So again, congratulations on the progress you've made in that. But if it's any consolation, those of us who have been in the market a couple of decades now, we're still having to work on that as an issue. But it's easier to do once you've got the confidence that what you're doing is okay and you're on the right path. And I think you are. So that's fantastic. And your last one, of course, is something that if you've attended any of my webinars, you'll hear time and time again. And you've made reference to it many times already during our chat today, in that have a plan and stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, the favourite mantra is plan your trade and trade your plan. It's said very easily, but it can be quite difficult to put into practice.
Sure.
I found previously, you see a move in the market and, oh yeah, let's jump on that. Of course, as soon as you jump on that, it decides it's going to change direction and go the opposite way. Now, say in most work situations, you come against something, a bit of a roadblock, and you find a way around it. But your plan is your plan, and it has to be, as you've told us, it has to be black and white, very, very specific, matching with Magnetic's style of trading. And that just makes the whole thing easier and less stressful, and ideally more profitable.
Easier, less stressful, and more profitable. How good is that as a triad of places that you can go in your trading? I think that's
what we're all looking for, eh?
Absolutely, mate. Just on the challenges you've had in doing that, because as you say, it's easy to say trade your plan, but not so easy sometimes to do that. Where have your major challenges been? Have they been on entry or exit or both?
Certainly, I've been guilty of, as I referred to, jumping in on something that's moving. But probably my biggest challenge has been the exit. Because of my early trading was mostly based on 4-hour charts. So to try and move down timescale, I've found myself still aiming for the larger targets that you would do on a 4-hour chart. Whereas the position I'm now, I am looking at those smaller timescales. So I'm just trying to rein in that profit target and accept that those small nibbles, keep nibbling, and grow the account.
John, that's fantastic. And I'm absolutely convinced that those 3 tips that you've given are game changers for people, anybody listening to this. The idea of being patient to get where you need to be and put the right things in place, work hard on your mindset, and making sure you've got a plan that you adhere to. 3 magnificent tips. So thank you for those. Yeah, really appreciate it. One last thing, I guess, before we wrap up is, look, you've been working with Magnetic for a little while now. If you were to sort of wrap that up in a nutshell as to what Magnetic's given you, what would it be?
I think in a one-word nutshell, confidence, just because of the way that their system works. Yeah, there's no wishy-washy stuff. It's essentially, these are the trades, these are the times, and it either sets up or it doesn't. And having that as a guiding principle is, for me, I think that's been the big thing with Magnetic, without a doubt.
Sensational. Once again, thank you so very much for investing some time in us today and sharing, as I said, your experiences of your trading journey so far. And as I said before, I'm convinced you've got the right things in place. You're in a good place with who you're doing work with. And of course, you've got that commitment that trading as a business is all about, to take you forward with power. So we'll see you at some of the webinars soon, John. It's as always been a pleasure and a privilege to chat to you. So you take care, trade safe, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Mike.